Welcome to Miniature Realms, my name's Stuart. In this video I want to revisit a paused project, my Slayer army project, now that we have the new Slayer host, Army of Infamy. Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems and offer custom items to suit your club or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Make sure you check out their old world compatible range. It's expanding all the time. New ranges are being added soon. Look at these fantastic generals tokens to help those of you who are forgetful remember in-game effects and spells and things like that. And look at these old world legacy army token sets as well. Again, more of these are being added all the time and very nice they are. Check out the link in the video description. Many moons ago now, it feels anyway, I started a Slayer army. I was going to do a big painting project and present that as a video on the channel, and hopefully that will still happen. So I built an awful lot of it and I converted loads and loads of stuff, some which I can't use now. I've seen this Army of Infamy, so maybe it was a blessing that I didn't paint it all. But I was really excited to do it, and I was using the royal host list from the Dwarven Mountain Holds Arcane Journal. And I've got some footage and I've had it sitting on my hard drive for a little while, and I'll share some of that with you, the early building stages of this. And this is probably like a part one video, and I hope to follow it up in a couple of months' time with the painting video that shows the end of the completion. But what I wanted to do in this video was talk a little bit about the project that I started and how I'm going to convert it over now to the new Army of Infamy, and talk a little bit about my experiences now trying to write a list using this new Army of Infamy. But this is the book that's changed everything for this project, The War of Cetra's Fury, the latest Arcane Journal for Warhammer. The old world. I've been lucky enough to have a little bit of early access to this from Games Workshop. If you'd like to see my review of that, that's just gone up. I'll pop a link in now for it. I'm very conscious not just to repeat the review from my previous video, I could just copy and paste it in here, but that would be boring. But also covering what's in the army is totally relevant to this video and the discussion I want to have today. And I also need your help. I need your thoughts around the list building, so that until that book is out fully in the public sphere, if I don't explain what the options are, maybe I won't get much feedback in the comments about what I should take on my lists. And the list is definitely where I would like some most help. So with that in mind, very briefly, the Slayer host Army of Infamy, you can take Ungrim Iron Fist, 0 to 1 Demon Slayer per 1,000 points, and 0 to 2 Dragon Slayers per unit of Slayers taken. Core is just Slayers, and you only have to have up to 20% of your army's total points. There's a little bit of a reduction on what's standard there. Special up to 50%. 0 to 1 Brotherhood of Grimnir, we'll discuss their profile in a little while. And 0 to 4 Doom Seekers, which is good because I think you get 4 in your pack of Doom Seekers, and I think before you could only take 3 from memory. Rare, up to 25% of your army's points value may be spent on 0 to 1 Goblin Hero per 1,000 points, 0 to 1 Dwarf Cart per 1,000 points, and then if your army includes Ungrim Iron Fist, you can have a unit of Hammerers in your rare as well. Mercenaries up to 20%, it's a little bit lower than you see in some armies, but all you can have there is a unit of Rangers. Couple of things that stand out to me there, or the Hammerers are interesting and gives you a different kind of unit, gives you another kind of unit, and one that's got some armor on and might survive, whether you want that thematically or not. I had them in my Royal Clan version of Slayer's list that this project was originally going to be. The Rangers are interesting as well. It's a way of getting some ranged in there, and with the dwarf carts as well. Narratively, I quite like the idea that the rangers are employed by a brewery to protect the beer that's provided by those dwarf carts, and that they've been paid for by the Slayer, and you know they're there to feed them beer on campaign. So I quite like that. I think that can still work thematically for me. I don't necessarily think you have to go all naked little dudes with orange hair. I think there are other ways you can still have a really cool force. But it's nice to see them in there. I'm not sure now with the Hammerers. I've done a list with Hammerers and without, and we'll see those in a little bit. But the miniatures that I was converting
to be used as hammerers, because I wanted them to look different to normal hammerers, now I might use for the Brotherhood of Grimnir. So let's talk about the Brotherhood of Grimnir, and then we'll go on and see some of the miniatures that I was starting to build for these. The Brotherhood of Grimnir are the only new unit for this army, and they're a bit of a returning thing from 6th edition, I think, but they're pretty cool. It gives you something new to maybe model as well. There's no how to represent this unit box, and the only thing I can imagine is because it's all metal miniatures for this army, for the Slayers, and they don't want to be getting people to convert. So I'm guessing they're just assuming people will use just normal Slayer miniatures and paint them slightly differently, but there's just nothing there at all. I'd like to do a little bit more than that, which, as I said, has got me thinking. But they're a special unit. You've got Shrine Guards and a Shrine Keeper. The Guards are beefed up Slayers, and the Shrine Keeper is a slightly more beefed up Slayer. You know, weapon skill 5, weapon skill 6. They all have 2 attacks. 18 points each for the Shrine Guards, though. They're not cheap, and plus 21 for the Shrine Keeper itself. The really interesting thing with the Shrine Keeper is basically gives you some magical defense, and I'll read that passage to you. A model with this special rule may be nominated to attempt a wizardly dispel as if it were a wizard. However, unlike regular wizards, a Shrine Keeper does not have a level of wizardry to determine their dispel range or modify their dispel rolls. Instead, a Shrine Keeper has a dispel range of 21 inches and may apply a +1 modifier to their dispel rolls. Other than that, they are pretty much the same as Slayers. You've got the same additional hand weapons and great weapon options, command options as well, and they have the Slayer special rule, which I read out in the other review as something new. Well, I don't know if I read it as new, I just read it out because it's on the page, but it's the same Slayer rule as far as I can tell as well. In addition, you can take a single runic tattoo on your Shrine Keeper, weapon runes up to 50 points on your Shrine Keeper, talismanic runes up to 50 points on your Shrine Keeper, which might be useful. I think there's at least one magic debuff rune there that you could take to increase that sort of magical defense. You can even have standard runes up to 100 points as well if you take a standard bearer in the unit. So some cool things there as well. So they're good. They're just expensive. As the same with all Slayers, you end up not having many miniatures for your army because the damage output is really, really immense. Potentially, if there's any of them left alive when you get them across the table, and maybe that's where having a cart or multiple carts now are going to be useful. They've got the special rules which help them with that as well. While I show you the pause project that's been collecting dust on my shelves for a while, let's look at the Slayer host special rules. We got from the wilds 0 to 1 unit of Slayers with a unit strength of 10 or less in a Slayer host army of infamy may have the ambushers special rule and skirmishers special rules for 1 point per miniature. So again, there's ways of making them a bit more maneuverable, getting them up the table. Look, Snorri trolls. After deployment, before deploying scouts or making any vanguard moves, all units of Slayers and Brotherhood of Grimnir within a Slayer host army of infamy may make the Look Snorri Trolls move. A unit making a Look Snorri Trolls move moves D3+1 as described in the basic movement rules and may maneuver normally but cannot march. Roll separately for each eligible unit. That should help your units get up the board a little bit quicker in addition to just using carts. Here's one I'm using, one of Paul Stanley's sculpts with an old Citadel miniature as well, and of course the official Bugman's car. But it's all of these tools are going to be really useful for getting your Slayers up the table. Next up, you have Wards of Grimnir. Any unit in a Slayer host army of infamy that includes a standard bearer may purchase Wards of Grimnir for 1 point per model. A unit with Wards of Grimnir has a 6-up ward save against any wounds suffered during the shooting phase that were caused by non-magical enemy. Really, really important there. Another thing I was talking about is how hard it is to get your miniatures alive into combat, and this is going to be one of those things that helps. Though it's only a 6-up, we all know how hard it is to roll 6s when you need them, but it's something. It's not nothing. Then finally we have Worst Among Equals. If your army includes Ungrim Iron Fist, then he basically is your general. If not, you must nominate a Demon Slayer or a Dragon Slayer to act as your general. Even though they have the Loner special rule, wouldn't normally be allowed to do this. But to reflect on them being poor leaders, they don't give the Inspiring Presence rule, which is cool. It makes sense. It's one of those fluffy things that works for the Slayers. I don't think anyone's going to argue against it. I should say the army can have a standard bearer. You can upgrade a Dragon Slayer as much the way you'd expect, 25 points. I don't know whether I'll take one or not. It's not made its way into my initial lists. I put one in and then took it out because the points are just so tight. Let me know in the comments what you think, and then you can have sort of runic items as well, including the tattoos. You select those from the lists that are in the standard Dwarf Army list and the Arcane Journal. Modelling wise now, we head back to some older footage. You can see I'm using the Warcry. Flameseekers had a couple of boxes of those, and then lots of little bits as well. So these are the Underworld's version. I can't even remember what they're called. And then obviously loads of metal slayers in various states of readiness, and dwarf extra bits, and new metal slayer parts, and my Doom Seekers, and new slayers that I bought when they came out as well, including Ungrim, of course, obviously, but the rest of the units there as well. And that was going to be the BSB. As I said, I'm not sure whether I'll use him. I might just, maybe I'll turn him into the Shrine Keeper and just take off the big banner that I've had to weigh down because it's a metal spare banner from the normal Slayers kit. I think the rest of them have got some legs. Be that short legs, but I think they've got some legs as miniatures to use, just because they're different, and I don't want to use the standard metal Slayer miniatures. They're cool, but I want to use those as Slayers and have these as stand out, and without an official unit, without a little box to say that. I can't see them bringing out new miniatures at the moment. Then I think it's cool to do something like this, and I know some people won't like the use of the AOS miniatures, but I've filled in all of the gaps when they had little tattoos. I filed them off and then filled them in where I needed to as well. I even sculpted some hair and things in places on other ones. So I really tried to de-AOS them as much as I could. And I think once they're all painted, they'll fit in quite nicely. Yes, they're wearing a bit too many clothes maybe, but I think it will work fine. And this guy here was designed to go as a bit of a change up for my anvil. As you see the footage here, I've magnetised the members of my anvil, so I can put them on normal bases, but also so I can remove them in terms of wound counters. So because I was running a Royal Clans version of this, I was going to do a different sort of set of people on the anvil, which I thought was cool. So here's me sculpting some hair on top of this guy here. I think it's from the Underworld's set, and then they all just popped on as replacements if I was running this Slayer themed army rather than my normal themed army. Again, I was just going for theme with everything in the way it looked, because the Royal Clan rules didn't quite work. Of course, now it means I can't use my anvil at all, so why I showed you that, I don't know, but it's fun and it'll never get used now. But that's it really. I mean, the rest of the footage is me showing you all the stuff that I built for the army, and it's different now because you've seen it at the beginning. It's built and ready to go as such until now when I've got to rebuild it. And that's it really. The rest of the footage that I had on my hard drive was just me building bits to use as a bit of B-roll, and maybe I'll use it now, but essentially it was building some bits for the project that's stored, and you saw that all on the tray at the beginning. So now before I go, I'll show you the first couple of list ideas I had, and you can help me with them because I do want some help. They are not complete lists, they're not fully pointed. I'm using a mixture of Old World Builder and then also adding stuff on, just because rather than writing it down on a piece of paper when I was cooking dinner and looking after my boys, I found it easy to do it that way and just copy and paste into notes. So there's going to be mistakes probably as well. And I haven't chosen all of my runes and tattoos and things like that as well. So I definitely need to do that. And this is why I want your help in the comments. I think it'll be really, really interesting to get a bit of feedback on what I have, the collection I have, before I go and buy the rest of the models I need, because I'm going to need to buy some more Slayers for sure. It's whether I need to buy any more stuff to go and build up that Brotherhood unit. But let's see. So here we are. Here's a very quick run through of my first attempt sketched out lists. Points left in both, but not enough points actually left to pay for all the runes and things I need, so I'll need to cut stuff off both. On the first one, we've got Ungrim in there, just because I love the miniature. I think he just unlocks more stuff. I want to use it, and in this list there are hammers, so he's needed. A Dragon Slayer was originally going to be my BSB, but the guys got changed to really a big monster killer, I suppose, with the Master Rune of Dragon Slaying and the Rune of Endless Battle. A big block of Slayers as core, 2 Giant Slayers, additional hand weapons on some, great weapons on some, Stroller's Rune to really add that movement idea. The mix of great and additional hand weapons is based on the miniatures that I have and probably will remain that way. I'm not going to overly stress about it too much. special. I did have 16 Brotherhood of Grimnir there, 11 with great weapons and 5 with extra hand weapons. That again was based on pretty much what I have modelled from those bits, and that means using the miniatures that I was going to use on the anvil as well. I can convert those a little bit more if need be, so I'd love to know your thoughts on what mix of great weapons and extra hand weapons you guys use in your dwarf armies. This one has 3 Doomseekers in it, and then 17 hammers in rare as well with full command. No banner runes or anything there, and there's some good ones they can take, so maybe they should, but as I said, points just go quick. 2 goblin hewers and a dwarf cart, and that rounds out that first one. And the second one is one without hammers, so they've got the same Ungrim there, the same at the moment Dragon Slayer build, the same big block of Slayers in core. Should that be 2 smaller units? Is that the way to go with them? With the 1.5 edition, obviously bigger units are better, but again, you want to be charged as well, and that's not something the Slayers are going to be doing. They're going to be doing the charging. You need to get them up the table quicker. You can't really be anything other than the hammer. I suppose the hammerers were the anvil unit, but with the rest of your army charging forward, maybe they're not needed, and that's why they're not in this. So let me know what you think. Should I just go for MSU Slayer units? Again, because I've taken the hammers out, I've added more into the Brotherhood of Grimnir. Should that be even bigger and just run 2 big units, or again, big units of them and smaller units of Slayers? Really interested to know what you think. Again, with the mix of the hand weapons and stuff, but this had 3 Doomseekers in. Again, I've not added any runes to those yet, or tattoos rather, so let me know which mixes, because I definitely need it to make them as good as they can be. And again, I've got 2 goblin hewers and 2 carts there, and then 10 rangers, and I really like the fluff idea, the lore idea of using those rangers as the cart guards, and I probably want to have both carts in. I think they're needed for the mobility, and I think the rangers are needed as part of that. I think that's a bit fun. Maybe dropping a goblin hewer is the way to go there, to give me some points there to spend back on some runic tattoos and things as well. So that's your cue, really. Let me know in the comments. Lots and lots of questions to answer there, so go to town on it. Really long comments if you want. First of all, what do you think of the Army of Infamy? I know a lot of people have said in my other review they'll be disappointed that there's not more in there. The pirates would have been nice to have in there, and there should be more wards, etc. for them as well. And you know what? I can't disagree with that. I would love to have seen those pirates in there. I wonder whether we can hope that they're going to be released later on as a Dogs of War unit, but there'll be a note that they can also be taken in this Army of Infamy. That would be cool. And maybe they're going to come along with the rumoured Vampire Coast. That is just a rumour. No idea whether it's true or not. It might be a lot of hope for people, but that would be cool if we had a Vampire Coast thing. Maybe bring out the pirates with it. It might be just been the mould is shot and then they're not available anymore. And also we've got to bear in mind is the Games Workshop's moving to all plastic at some point in the future. I think it's pretty much their goal. And then you've got a couple of game systems on SDS that are dragging that behind on that. Middle-earth strategy battle game and Old One would be the biggest, with whole units that you need metal miniatures for. There are no alternatives at the moment. So at some point those units are going to disappear, or they're going to have to replace them with plastic. And there's still resin as well, not so much of it, and some of it newer, even across other SDS games as well. You've got your Necromunda and Heresy still have resin parts, but eventually the goal's got to be to get rid of all of that, and maybe they just don't want to add more unnecessary metal units that aren't made to order as something that's part of a core list, and that could come into it as well, as much as it's a shame. Who knows? And then the other side about the wards, yeah, I probably would have added a couple of extra tattoos to give wards, but it does go against the law a little bit as well. They're seeking their doom, they're trying to die. So taking a ward that protects them against anything in many ways goes against, it's the same as them having a shield, isn't it? So if you get a 6-0 ward for against shooting, it's the same as carrying a shield on your unit against shooting. You could argue maybe with the banner it's some kind of wider blessing because they're doing something great in that moment of battle, but if each individual was able to take particular wards, that is like taking an armor. Does it matter? I don't know. Sometimes law has to be broken or bent a little bit to make armies work a little bit more in the wider game, but sometimes it doesn't matter, and I don't think this list is designed to be used in competitive play too much. I think it's a cool, fun thing, a campaign thing, people to play narratively. Don't get me wrong, very, very good dwarf players, of which I am not. I think we know that Dowie Underdark would probably do a good job. If anyone could, winning with this army, and maybe has some list ideas. He may have even done a video. I know he's been busy doing stuff, winning world team championships and things. So I'll be looking forward to his content around this now. But in terms of the competitive side, I don't think it was designed that way. So that maybe that's another reason why the awards aren't there. But it's good fun. Love to know what you think of the Army of Infamy. And let me know, based around those as a base list, what you'd put really. So like, you know, when we go in MSU on those Slayer units, or we have in a big block, and what kind of runes would you put on certain things, and what would you cut to pay for it? I think a Goblin here has probably got to go. Talking to my mate Danny about it over the weekend, and he suggested maybe drop one of those because that will pay for some of it, and that's what I'm leaning to at the moment. But I might place an order soon for another pack of Slayers to boost what I've got, and any other little AOSE bits to get that Brotherhood of Grimnir unit bigger if I need it to be. I might just have enough. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I always worry about videos like this where I start a project. I used to do lots of them. I used to do project vlogs for game systems that I haven't covered for a while, and I do quite a lot. I'll get up to episode number 8 or 9 on some of them and really enjoy them, and people get into them as well. And I'm a little bit reluctant because you don't always finish them, and I have kind of set myself up a little bit here to come back with a second video, a painting video for this Slayer army, and I've got a few other commitments as well, but I'm still hoping I can do it, looking at my autumn and winter, not knowing what's going to come out from Games Workshop, but looking at it thinking I've got a Null army to finish for something, and maybe I can squeeze this army in as well as a painting video, because I know it would be fun. So don't hate me too much if there's a little bit of a gap now before I produce that for you. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you collecting your own Slayer army now? Do you like the new Army of Infamy? Give the video a like as well. Those kind of things really help the video get seen by other people as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and if you do so, please remember to check back your subscriptions feed, maybe even hit that notification bell, because YouTube is terrible at the moment at putting the channels that you're subscribed to on your home screen. It puts loads of other stuff on there, and you may well be missing lots of content from the channels you like, so do go and check those things out. If you'd like to support me lots and lots, my Patreon really is the best way to do it. Lots of different tiers on there, and lots of different ways that you can engage with me with that painting advice and things. I do a lot of painting tutorials, or just supporting me by a small donation each month and joining the Discord and that kind of stuff. Check out all the links in the video description, a few affiliate links and things, but most of all, check out the channel sponsor, Counterattack Bases. Loads and loads of fun gaming aids that are really useful for Warhammer the Old World. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.